start with the bolt locking open when you run dry on an AR. Mainly it's for faster reload, then first realizing the gun went blank, then unload, load the mag, and having to recock the action. The AK does none of that, even though it can help clear jams, but most mag followers don't even have the whole bolt open notch, except for a few. But the bolt still slams forward immediately if you remove the mag, which cuts down no time saving, on top of dealing with not all mags work with all AKs in the first place. Under stress, most people can't feel it anyway, so Kalash left that out on purpose to keep it cheap and stone simple. You reload when you want to, not when you have to. So keep topping off your mag like this, the tactical reload, you'll be fine. The reload. By integrating a custom-engineered vertical mag well, like with a redesigned low-friction bolt carrier, the idea that a modern 7.62 AK could theoretically achieve instantaneous, drop-free, straight-in reloads like an AR, the fantasy is to make it so that the last round keeps the bolt open on the AK, and make it finally work so the reload can feel a little faster without having to latch the front of the mag in first. The idea that things go into the funnel is better is what some people want on the AK because they lack the dexterity to do that. But forcing 7.62 through a straight vertical channel inside a mag, that may increase friction, and it could also cause the follower to tilt down and jam. But these permanent changes just to turn AK into an AR are generally viewed as dumb and pointless, and more expensive than simply sticking with her if you like it so much. The next is the safety ergonomics. The safety lever is honestly one of the worst things on a normal AK. They're bulky to move with your entire hand, and it can even move out of position completely like this. Some safety levers have extended the contact point for the index finger to reach, but it's still not ergonomic compared to this. So when you see what the AK does on the right, it's a bit clumsy and slow. So some companies built AK safeties like this one, so then basically you can run it with just one finger without breaking your grip. Israel and Serbia added little thumb levers on the left side, essentially making it ambidextrous.
Frontwards, rearwards, yes. It allows you to actuate the safety bolt are tied together and act as one.
The next one is about whether an AR-style charging handle could even be a thing on the AK. The AK handle sticks out the side and rides back and forth. The downside is it can snag tree branches if you're covering behind something, or it can cause malfunction if it makes contact with a hard surface. If the AR's T-handle made its way onto the AK, it would look like this, without having to deal with a shift in grip. You can now charge the bolt without awkward hand placement, but the AK's bolt has more leverage because it's directly attached to the bolt carrier, so you can use your palm to smack it forward to clear stubborn jams or bypass feeding issues that the forward assist was made just for that reason on the early M16. So let's call this one a draw, because they both do the same thing a little bit differently. The next one is all about changing the grip. The AK's pistol grip is a skinny little nub of plastic that's too small for a grown hand and kicks your wrist out at a weird angle, so you fight the gun just to hold on to it. The AR grip generally fills your whole palm and sits right where your hand wants to be. Like these PDW angle pistol grips that lets whoever is behind the rifle tuck in the firing hand tightly against their body, and it places the hand's flexor muscles on more of the same plane, so the natural hand position is less likely to make the shooter tired. The next one is all about being modular. Can AK be modular? The AK really was falling behind on this one until it followed the American pegboardish tactical gun design. The idea has always been to attach whatever you want and take it off and customize it whenever you want. So think of the 1913 Weaver, Keymod, the M-LOK. Notice they're all American innovations to get rid of using tapes to mount stuff on the handguard, or eliminate the need to slave any hard sling point to the barrel. America's AR was the same way before, but they took the lead to change it, and the AK followed, like what you'd see with something like the Zenitko. Suddenly, all these parts can go on the AK without caring what gun it's sitting on. That whole idea of building a rifle out of snap-on parts like Legos. Stoner never intentionally designed that, but we got to give credit to the military's SOPMOD program that reimagined what the gun can be. And then the AK just borrowed the toy box.
Okay, the next one is about increasing the accuracy of the AK without changing the core gun itself.
The myth that the Kalashnikov just can't deliver a combat-effective hit isn't true, and it's out of context. So here on the left is the AR's 1.5 to 3 MOA accuracy, and the one on the right is about 3 to 5 MOA. Some may say that modern ARs are mostly free float because no handguard retainer is grabbing onto the barrel, but if you want to be technical, the AR15, even with a free-floating handguard, is never a true free-floating barrel, since you have a stiff gas tube pinned to the gas block, hinged along the barrel all the way back to the receiver. During every shot, that thing is always influencing the harmonics. On an AK, it can definitely benefit from having a handguard that doesn't touch the barrel, and the piston doesn't really hold on to the action if the gas tube is removed. But that gas won't be pleasant to deal with.
Now, let's talk about how an AK can possibly tame its muzzle flip and recoil by taking something from the AR15.
While the AR15 platform spent almost 2 decades balancing the gas system with different buffer weights and everything to work with different barrel length suppressor and different ammo types, the AK sort of deals with that too. The only thing different is that it uses a long stroke piston system. We see stuff like this on, for example, the H&K 416. That's one thing the AR borrowed the design from the AK, so the AK can absolutely benefit from borrowing an adjustable gas block piston thing from the AR. Like using it to slow down the bolt carrier speed rather than letting all the gas, like all that pressure, slam the whole thing back. But in terms of reducing upward recoil, the AK can absolutely benefit from the AR's linear inline type recoil, where all the energy goes straight back into the shooter's shoulder, even though it's a bit front heavy. So lifting that angle can mimic the AR's straight line geometry. Luckily, this is very easy to do, because the best thing about an AK is that it doesn't have a buffer in the stock. So the AK can use AR-style buffer tubes to accept all types of telescopic stock. Adjusting to any length of pull to fit whatever body armor you're wearing is a huge plus, like working in tight spaces, getting in and out of the vehicle. Just think of all the possible CQB environments before we even get into shorter barrel AKs. While most of what we've covered so far is ergonomics, the biggest improvement the AK has copied from the AR is how it puts a scope on it. Mounting an optic on the AK, like an AR on the top rail, is never the same, because the AK has to deal with the inherently unstable platform that the stamped tin dust cover provides. Yes, they can be railed, like adding the 1913 rails on top of it, but this thing moves and shakes when you shoot. It's only attached at 2 spots, and none of them are designed to hold 0, because any little bend or tilt can completely skew the 0 over time. So for years, people fought this. There are 3 different ways people generally do it. The first is they bolted a mount to the side of the receiver. The second way is to mount a red dot on the old school Ultimac adapter. It's basically a railed gas tube which can get very hot right underneath the optic. So it is an awful place to mount an optic. And the eye relief is also horrible. It's just too far away. Later products even allowed people to swap that flimsy cover for a solid railed one by beefing up the hinge, like on the Zenitco, where the dust cover is also supported by a structural part bolted onto the handguard to prevent that lateral tilt. And a whole industry was born just trying to get glass to sit still on an AK and bring the eye relief closer to the shooter. The rear sight. The iron sight's got the same treatment, and most people never even notice. The AK puts its rear sight way out in the middle of the gun, thus making the sight radius a bit shorter. A railed dust cover can mount a removable flip-up sight on the AK, and the same can apply to the front sight on the handguard, or simply make them all foldable to clear up the field of view like most ARs. So Russia's newest AK did exactly that. And the same fix Israel had already figured out on its own Kalashnikov copy years before. Same idea, lifted straight off the AR. The trigger? So this one's night and day, whether it's a stock AK or AR. Generally, no one likes a stock default trigger, but the AR's aftermarket triggers are way ahead of the AK, and the market is even bigger too, which the AK can benefit from. Generally, they are shorter, crisper, like that very tactile feel, and you typically get that on an AR-15, like that shorter click feel to reset a trigger for fast follow-up shots. But one big problem? is that not all triggers can just drop in like on an AR, and many often require hand fitting or careful installation by someone who knows what they're doing. On a serious note, this is more about what Kalashnikov refused to build. So, yes, hybrid AKs are awesome, but turning it exactly into AR is counterproductive when you already have bunch ARs to choose from. If you zoom out on the AR-AK hybrid world, some of what the AR does, the AK doesn't, and not because nobody has ever thought of it. It's because Mikhail looked right at it and said, absolutely not. An AK is designed to be rough, so don't make it too tight, make it loose, and say no to high tolerance. If an AK needs to copy an AR-15, these are things 100% to copy. Modular setup, definitely copy. Better grips, definitely copy. Larger sight radius, definitely copy. Direct impingement gas, do not copy. Super high tolerance, do not copy. Trading 7.62 for light fragmentation, do not copy. So to keep it stupid simple, for AK parts that absolutely still need to be precisely made to similar standard like an AR-15 are the following. Front trunnion, absolutely, make it good. Rear trunnion, the barrel, hammer, sear, bolt carrier cam, and things that don't need to be so OCD about. Receiver, the mag, dust cover, sights, gas tube cylinder, recoil spring guide, and here are things never to change on an AK. The long stroke piston, the loose tolerances, the open dirt tolerant design, and keep it stupid simple.